Hey guys, this is my conversation with Stephen Maar. We chatted earlier this summer about a whole bunch of things, him being a new dad, his new team this year, of course, his time with the Canadian national team. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Unfortunately, did hear a small technical difficulty right at the end where some of the recording, his audio somehow just wasn't being recorded anymore. So it will cut off a little abruptly at the end, but luckily you didn't miss that much. Just a lot of chirps towards the Discord. So hope you guys enjoy. Staying in shape, I see. Staying in playing
Oh,
shape.
someone's got to.
I mean, must be nice. Must be nice. You're getting your first off season ever.
Kind of. I
Like
think everybody had one in COVID. That's the
true.
one thing that I like kind of forget, but like you weren't really free at that point. So it wasn't
No.
really like you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, let's like we're just gonna start it like this, and I'll do a nice little intro to get us going because I mean we're starting with what I want to talk about first and foremost is like first and foremost how are you? You getting a summer off kind of because I know there's a lot of things happening in your life. Congratulations, you're now a dad.
Thank you.
Since last time we've talked, so a lot to chat about just on the personal side of things with you. You get a summer off. You've retired from the Canadian national team. You had a bit of a last minute change and transfer, and now you're going to be going to play in Turkey for the first time. But first
Yeah.
and foremost, you're a dad. What's that been like? How's dad life been like?
It's been wild, honestly. I think that's one of those things where like until you go through it, you don't like nothing anyone says can really prepare you for that. And I think I would kind of accepted that going into it, which was nice. Um, I was waiting on a lot of decisions, like larger decisions in my life, for our daughter Lila to be born, to kind of see what I felt in that time, and it was a very like clarifying experience as well. So um, I was super grateful for that. And then Molly was just a champ, so she did really well. And yeah, I was very lucky that like everything, like all the nurses and everything went well. Like everybody was great. So that yeah, I just got to kind of focus on being a cheerleader, and yeah, and since then, kind of the sad. There's like a couple of sad truths about like time that kind of have come and gone. Everyone, when I first started playing, was like, "Your career is going to go faster than you think," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, okay." And then everyone was like, "Yeah, you're going to love your kid more than you think," and I was like logically, I was like, "I'll definitely love her," but and then both those two things I've realized with time have been true, and you don't know it until you experience it. And then the third one that I'm like kind of starting to believe in now is like they grow up faster than you think. She's already a month old. She's already gotten so much bigger. And I'm like, oh no, it's true.
Well, like, is that because like all of a sudden now you know you're a dad and life is changing altogether? Has that made you kind of like take a stop and look back because you've been a pro now for almost 10 years, right? You graduated Mac in 2016,
Yeah.
played your first year in Italy in 2016 in Padova, but so you're you know almost a decade now you've been a pro. Being a dad make you stop and kind of look back at your career and everything that's happened so far?
Yeah, actually, that was actually one of the main things that kind of I was like kind of waiting to see about what I was gonna do and like how I'm gonna approach like the last, let's call it the back half of my career, the back nine. Let's hope
Back
it's
nine,
at least
yeah.
a nine. That would be a nice. That would be
uh,
nice. I'd
yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
like that.
But yeah, no, it's definitely been strange. And then also, like as you alluded to, like leaving Italy, a place where I played for like 8 years. That's also like kind of a bit of a home for me. So that's a bit tough to also be kind of like going through that and like now. Well, it's like exciting to be taking on new adventures, but like at the same point, you definitely kind of reevaluate it, like okay, like that chapter is maybe done, you know. So it's wild.
Is okay. Well, like I did. It is on my list of things here to talk about. But you've played 9 professional seasons. Only one of them outside of Italy that was playing in Moscow in 1920. Um, Why, like you're going to be moving on to Turkey to play for Galatasaray. Is that kind of a feeling of yours that maybe that chapter of Italy is done and now it's time to go check out some other leagues and some other opportunities around?
I think it's a weird thing. Like sometimes when you get into a good thing, like Italy's like I know like there's a lot of different leagues, there's a lot of different things. Like Italy is one of the best places to play in the world. And
Yeah, has
it's
to be.
also one of the best places to live, And I think that's kind of also like the tough thing is it's like once you kind of get there, like, and you're playing well and you're enjoying it and you kind of speak the language and blah, 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 blah. It's like, are you ever going to leave? Um, then I got the offer from Galatasaray, and it was a pretty much a long shot. Like it was one of those things where it's like, okay, if they confirm that, like for example, I'll give you the dates. Like if Hefe is going to resign, which he's supposed to resign, but if he's going to resign, then they have a bit more security, and then they might let you go. And it's like, and then if the wild card doesn't go and you are not going into Champions League, which is what Piazza put in for, and which was one of my main goals, and they don't get it, then you might be able to go. And then it's like, okay, but then they need to find a replacement, and there's not that many people on the market to go. Oh, okay, well, man, probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. The amount of times I got told it's like 99% chance it's not going to happen. It's pretty comical. But for me, when it was the chance to actually do get to go, like going and playing in Champions League and going and living out that dream and playing in a league that I had always wanted to play in, and in a city that's really incredible and a team that's being built in a really good situation. So I've heard great things, and yeah, it was at the end of the day. Okay, and obviously I will say that the cash was also nice. So yeah, I will also
that's
say that. Like
that's what
yeah,
I'm saying. I'm hoping there's a
yeah,
nice little payday involved with this too. You're just
yeah,
gassing up
yeah,
Italy here so much. It's the best league. It's the best place to
yeah,
live. You speak the language now. Like I feel like it's one of those things. Like once you're into that league and you're playing at a certain level, you can just kind of can continue being there. But
yeah.
yeah, it's. I'm
Well, it's
hoping.
also
I'm
one of those
hoping. Yeah.
things like you don't also know what you don't know. Like a lot of people I know like love playing in Turkey, love living there. Like haven't heard a bad thing about living in Istanbul. Only heard amazing things.
Yeah.
Only heard amazing things from people like getting to do that. So it's like, but until you go and do it, like you have no idea. So if you kind of just put on autopilot, you probably just get the next contract in Italy, you stay there, and you just slowly wind your way, and then you get to a point where you're older and you're maybe not as good as you once were. Maybe you don't get those opportunities anymore, and you don't get to go to Turkey. You don't get to go maybe to Japan one day. You don't get to do these things because that window is closed.
Or if you do, it's with like a lesser team and a lesser opportunity. Maybe you're not in Istanbul. You're somewhere else or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
on top of that, like this Galatasaray team, like they've been loading up. Jean Petri is on that team.
yeah,
You're also going to be playing alongside Thomas Jeschke, so you've got a little bit of like North American familiarity along there
yeah.
as well too. But it just seems like in general that the Turkish league is loading up a little bit. Like
Oh,
Fenerbahce
they're like
is,
Japan now. Yeah, like it's like
yeah,
super teams. They're
yeah,
just building
a
out
little
little
bit,
super teams. Yeah,
yeah.
it's cool. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like the little Avengers squads when you start looking around. Like, oh, okay, you got Namir, Fornell, and Cleveland over there. Then you got Engie, Chimenez, and Legumes over there. It's like, oh
Yeah,
man, like let's get into
both
it.
Lagumjas too. Like they've got Mirza
Yeah,
and Adus over there.
yeah.
Like,
And
um,
Sokolov is confirmed, and yeah,
yeah,
there's going to be a couple more confirmations in Halkbank.
yeah, because
It's going to be a
Hawkbank
wild.
is still missing like a few players too, but they've got Sokolov and Leal. Like the
They
Turkish
got
league
a
is.
couple to announce. They got a couple to announce.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you got a
can't.
little
No, no, I can't give any deeds. It's not
Le,
my
Le,
information to share.
Leo's feeding you some information over there. But yeah, like the Turkish league, it's interesting because there's clearly something happening within I think the architects of like the Turkish league in terms of like the type of money that some of these clubs are bringing to the table now. Like we even saw it with the way that Arcus has now like stepped out of the Efrela League and is just going to be playing like as almost like as a
Yeah,
developmental club in the second league and stuff like that. But does it kind of feel right to kind of move along to Galatasaray, like in this point of your life, in this point of your career? You're still chasing that Champions League, that Champions League run, but you know, the Turkish league isn't the Italian league where every week, every single match you're going to be going out there and tested. Like there's going to be some tough matches on the upper end of the schedule, no doubt about it. But maybe there's a little bit more wiggle room on the lesser matches where maybe you don't have to play, you don't have to start, or it's a somewhat of an easier match.
I'm gonna say a controversial thing here.
Oh, okay, let's do that.
I think Poland passed Italy a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
as the best quality league, and this is coming from someone who I'm an Italian league guy through and through, and and it's like your stock, like if you're playing in the best league and you're one of the best players, okay, that's your stock. Your stock is going up. So, in that regards, then you saw Japan start to throw some money around, and then you start to see kind of like player leakage, and then you start to see the Italian tax system change, and the players become verified pros, and that now you're incorporated in a much higher tax bracket. That means budgets of clubs are now reduced. So you're starting to see some leakage of players, and you're kind of needing people to want to go. It's okay, maybe if you're not going to the top 4 clubs, but they're all having to pay higher taxes. And then if you're a foreign player, they're paying more on top of that. So they're shifting more towards younger Italians. So you can kind of start to see the market, like the market managers you start to see how people are getting kind of slid around into different places. And there's different opportunities. Like Russia is still an opportunity depending on which passport you have.
Yeah, for sure.
So, which is also a wild situation. Like certain clubs won't take certain clubs who are like government controlled, there's like 2 or 3 that are big.
Yeah.
They won't take certain passports, like only passports that are friendly to Russia. So it's like then all of a sudden you see Yant going to St. Petersburg. It's like there was very, very, there wasn't a lot of other players on the table that they could have taken who fit the bill, which he's also sweet. He's sick. But
I mean, it worked out for him because he came back. Like he always just seemed to me like when he was playing at Lube, like he was just injured. And then he came back this year. He led the VNL in scoring because he was an absolute monster in the game.
Yeah, in Russia, they got some good recovery techniques.
Hey, you played the
year there, so hey man. they got some recovery stuff down. I got it down. Oh.
Fair enough. But like this Turkish league, it does seem that way. Like I knew that Japan opening up and adding another foreigner and adding the floor, because essentially from my understanding, the floor spending, what teams are needing to get to now in the Japanese league, is higher than some of the budgets in Lega Volley. So there's going to be some moving of some things around, and if Japan adds a third foreigner spot in a few years as well, that's going to have an even more impact as well too, given the market.
Well, it's next year.
It's that next year. Oh shit, already.
Yeah, it's already done. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
It's because teams are already, like, for example, I can probably share this. Like my buddy Jan Kozamernik, he's in for a 3-year deal in Tokyo, but Tokyo is lining up 4 foreigners for this year so they can rotate because they have such a dense schedule.
Yeah.
But that means they've also locked in players for when that third spot opens up, so they can, and it's already starting next year, they can start to play. So it's interesting.
That's another big thing that I think people don't realize about the whole Japan situation, is that it's not just the fact that they have 2 foreigner spots. It's just 2 foreigner spots on the court. You're now allowed, before it was just 1 foreigner on the team. Now you're allowed to have more foreigners on the bench. And that's going to have a big impact too, because as you say, like you can have those other players that have to be subbed in.
Yeah. And I think just when you look at the past 5 years, like, really, I forget was it Philip Land who's the old coach of Japanese national team?
Yeah, Philip Land.
When he took over, like I remember when we played Japan in the bubble, that was like an expected win for our team.
Dude, they got 11th in the VNL that year. They got
Yeah.
their VNL trajectory is 12th, 10th, 11th, 5th, 3rd, 2nd.
Yeah, like you went from watching Japan hand passing float serves, like playing everybody else's game, to like then they went back to their own bread and butter, and like listening to Rand talk about like how much they train when they're young. They're just so much more gifted, and then they're just optimizing like their actual technical skill. And like so like even when you're starting to look at these leagues, like there's so many young spikers now that are like, I don't know how they keep doing this, but are like carbon copies of Yuki. That like same arm swing, same inside out with like super external hand, like that they move, they all move like he does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and you start to see that, and then it's just like, dude, they have like the domestic players to complement the foreigners that are coming in. And I think I think what's cool about the Japanese players is they definitely start to learn, like even playing with Ran, like I learned a bunch from him, and like but he was also like watching us trying to figure out like what are we doing on the floor. Now, if you start to look at the Japanese players in the gym, they still do their own kind of like workout stuff, which I think is like super cool. You know, like
Interesting.
they're super balanced, super speedy, super like mobile and technical with how they move their bodies, and it shows. So yeah,
That's
it's cool. It'll be a
it's
cool league.
I think it's going to be, especially when you look at kind of behind the door, like the same guy that they've brought in built like the soccer league and the basketball league in Japan. So he's just using that like carbon copy of how to do it
Mm-hmm.
on the business side, and they're applying it to the volleyball side. But the exciting thing is like when he talks about, basketball was at a way lesser place when they started with the B league than volleyball is now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think the money in that league is that a league that potentially you want to find yourself in one day? A nice little contract in Japan.
Yeah, I definitely like playing in Japan is even playing in tournaments like against Japan. Like we played a friendly game. We played a friendly game of in Japan for 12,000 people, and and it was we won the first set. We lost the next three, and it was Kai's birthday,
Yeah, yeah.
and they had like a little birthday party on the floor with Kai after, and they just had like him interviewed, talking to all the fans, and it was the most it was like a reality TV show. And then you start to realize though, like these guys are legitimately famous.
Oh
Like
yeah.
no one really gets it in like because I was asking Rand, like I was like, hey buddy, like you're going to this is when he's going to Centauri. I was like, hey man, like what you find a nice apartment? You got something like set up in Osaka? Like you excited because it's like pretty close to his home.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I'm still looking for the ones that have the best security. I was like, what? I was like, that's not even, I never even thought of that. He's like, well, he's like, I need to have like someone with like the doorman, or else people will just like come to my door. They'll find where I live. But like, you start to see like people came for their honeymoon to watch our practice. Our honeymoon from Japan. They came to Milan, to Monza, to watch our couple of our practices and to watch one game. That was their honeymoon, and they sat there and took photos with Rand every day. Like, dude, like the level of like difference between that like those players and that league for versus everyone else is nuts.
Because I feel like when you're in Italy, you're just another person. Unless there's like volleyball people around, like you can walk out and you can be in, you lived in Milan, you lived kind of all these places, and you're just a regular person on the street.
It depends. Like if you're in a smaller town, okay, no. People generally know who you are, especially if you speak Italian and you're
Yeah.
like you're a bit more immersed in the culture. But like, yeah, if you're going to Milan, who cares?
Yeah.
There's
You're
so
just
much other stuff going on.
But like the way we started this conversation, the other country that's starting to happen in is Poland. As you said, you think the Polish league has surpassed the Italian league. I would agree too. I think when you see like the quality of the Polish league all throughout the league. I mean, now it's just going to be 1 through 14 too, so it's going to be even more
Yeah.
jammed packed. But the quality, like I think the signings that you're seeing in the Polish league, even though, let's be honest, I think the salaries there might be even lower. I don't really know because volleyball is volleyball, and like it's not like any other pro sport where people actually talk about salaries. But from my understanding is that the salaries in Poland are maybe a little bit less, but players are looking to go there because that's where the quality is right now.
Less in respect to which country?
In respect to like Italy or Turkey.
I would say a little birdie would tell me that on average, like the best players, like you're talking the guys in Lube, the guys in Trento, the guys in Perugia,
Yeah.
and then taking like the guys in Warsaw, the guys in Brazovia, you're talking the guys in Zawiercie.
Yeah.
Those guys are all getting around the same,
Okay.
like in the same ballpark.
Fair enough.
But where Poland is higher, I think, is the middle market teams. They're paying the guys more than they are paying in Italy.
That's
But
fair.
Italy lays on the fact that you get to play in Italy and live in Italy. Now, I've never lived in Poland for a season. I've only visited and played. I would be inclined, and I think most people would probably agree, no offense, that you would probably rather live in Italy than you would rather live in Poland. And that's just part of the draw. Now in Turkey, Turkey. I'll probably start to change that over at some point, but
It
for
takes
this
some time.
conversation,
Yeah.
yeah, the big teams are tossing around big cash, and then now you're starting to see like Sport Toto, Bursa, they're probably paying out like a decent bit, but then there's probably a bigger drop off. So I think along with like the high guys are all probably in around the same area, and then yeah, it's just kind of where the middle market is, and yeah, so.
But yeah, it does seem like I I've been working on maybe a little bit of something. Me and Matt Harris, if you know who that is, we're chatting when I was over in Ottawa for VNL, and it does.
I was coached by Matt.
Were you? Matt was who I coached with.
He was at
Yeah. He would have been at HPC because I coached with Matt in your 17U back when you were still with Storm.
Yeah.
He was the head coach of Fusion at the time who I coached
Yeah.
with. But we were discussing it, and like to me, the rise of Polish volleyball and the rise of the Plus Liga you've seen the shift of the sport in entirety. On the men's game, you've seen way more of like the push and throw. You've seen more of the challenging the block. It's way more of a strategy game now. It's way more of a speed game. We don't have big right sides anymore because they just become like huge uses off the block. You could just go up there and push and throw, and it's super easy. To me, it's the increasing I guess relevance of the Polish league that has really helped permeate that.
If you go back 3 or 4 years when people first started pushing to the block and throwing out of bounds, that call was yours 95% of the time.
Yeah.
Then I think it was Heinen started using last check, like last touch challenges.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That. And then they started pulling the back, and now you actually have to, like, now it has to be, like, I'd say it's closer to 50-50, depending on how good it is. The only thing I would say with Polish volleyball, from spectator point of view, you can carry the ball a little bit more there. And that would allow for a little bit more creativity, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
I don't know why that is, but it allows for a more creative league. Because the ball can remain in your hand for, let's say, a couple microseconds more. That's my opinion. But they are really good with it. And you see a lot more, like you see like that, like side, like drop tip. You see things like that as like across the board, like that standard practice. So.
Do you feel like you've had to change your game and evolve your game? Because you came in kind of in the mid 2010s, and that was a big banger game. Like there was guys like Sokolov there's around, there was guys like Grosjean around, you know, Mikhailov was still around with Russia. Like there was just big bangers in the game, and now it's like a little bit more of a finesse game, of a speed game. You know, like ball control is really at a premium. Have you felt that shift and within your own game as well?
Yeah, like I wouldn't like I don't jump. I'm not the highest jumper. I'm not the hardest hitter. I'm like so like for me, I kind of have to figure out like what can I be like quite good at, and then just try and maximize that. Um, Playing with Eric, I was learning how to left hand drop tip. Playing with Tina Aronop, I watched him score 9 times out of 10 in one practice. Okay, one practice he scored 19 times. I think it was 19 for 21, only tipping. It was absolutely nuts. He had just come back from Shanghai from being in COVID prison, and he just only tipped for the first day, and it was unbelievable. So like, you start to see people who are just like gifted at different things, and if you are someone who wants to absorb information and you're like and you love the game and you're wanting to learn, then boom, world's your oyster. You can jump in and take and try and absorb skills and try and put them into your own game, see the situations that work for them and see the situations that don't, you know. And then if you're able to go back and analyze game and see like, okay, hey, like if I'm trying a left hand drop tip when I'm one on one and the ball is really loopy, it's too much time.
Mm-hmm.
People feel your body open up and your right hand drop down. There's too much time that gives people the defenders a chance.
Yeah.
Now, if you're playing a 7 over, the ball just zips over,
Yeah.
and the guy had kind of popped on the middle, and then you were the one to drop the ball in the line. Okay, now you've created space by like a time principle. So, but you start to like if you're looking for those things, you can find them.
Is this something is this a decision you're making in your approach? Is this your like as you're in the air, you're seeing that middle, as you say, like kind of pop inside, then you just let the momentum of the ball go to your left shoulder and you're dropping it down? Is it a vision thing, or is it more of like a understanding what their defense is doing as you're going in for your approach?
I think if you can internalize principles that are like the whole game, and you can start to feel the game,
Mm-hmm.
the second you start to see like this is going to sit maybe go a bit more complex, but for example, there's certain times where you start to see your setter, like you start to see his shoulders come underneath the ball, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, like you don't have to think, oh, shoulders are under the ball. He's not going to be flinging the ball up high. Like he's going to be coming under, and the ball is going to probably end up being a bit low. Why? Because you've seen him do the same thing over and over, and the ball is low. So it's like, okay, if you're like tracking the situation, like you're almost expecting, you feel what is about to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the difference of like experience in the game is that you can start to, when you see a situation, you gather so much more subconscious information than someone who is just being tossed into the situation for the first time.
Yeah.
Same with like pitchers, like if you were to go and try and bat like against a fastball and it's like your first time versus like anyone who's played baseball, like it's just gonna your eyes, it's not even gonna make sense to you.
Yeah.
So as you internalize those principles, you start to feel what situation is applicable. And then especially if you can go back and watch and you can go back mentally and relive it, you can already start to see like what you were thinking in the moment. And then you can slow it down and watch what actually happened in the moment. And if you made a mistake, you can have that as like an emotional point, as a correction point for the next time, you know. And then if you're doing that every single day, you're cycling through the system and you're iterating, and you can find a new way to score, you know. And that's like the name of the game. Like, how do you continuously find different ways to score?
Or just to stop for other people from scoring? Like how much of it
Yeah.
is that involved in all of that? Like how does it just seem like you're always constantly putting new little tricks and new little things into your bag as you go? And like when you first playing, you know, there's this many situations that can arise, and as you grow older and as you're growing through the game, you know, each situation can kind of produce like a few different outcomes, let's say.
Yeah, like I think there's so many different ways to score, and there's so many people who are gifted at different things that like you also have to have a realistic understanding of like your own skill set. Like I have this conversation with Blair Van a lot. Like how do you reset off a block? How do you replay with the block? Then we will go into like we've had this conversation like 20 times.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a two-hand set into the block versus a one-hand open hand tip into the block versus a snap into the block. What is the most effective? Okay, the most control is probably setting, but the easiest for the blockers to see is setting. Okay, open hand tip is, do you do it flat or you try and lift it off onto the block? Or do you just snap the ball at the block, aiming at the first hand? Maybe it goes hand out into the antenna, maybe the ball comes back to you. But if the ball comes back to you and you use the first guy, then you're the one recycling because the angle is not going into the court. And then it's like, do you have a team that can actually cover? It's like, that's another great question. If your team doesn't cover, it's a waste of a point. And like these are all, maybe I overthink it, but like these are all things that go through my mind.
But that makes complete sense. Like if you have a team that doesn't cover, might as well just wail at it and try for a
No,
block out.
why would I risk
Yeah.
why would I risk losing? Because the worst thing in this situation, in this one specific situation, is if you make a play replay
Yeah.
and someone is not prepared or they just don't give like this is the straight from Antoine in the French. If you don't give amour, no love for the ball. If you don't love that ball on that first touch, and all of a sudden I was on a high ball at 2 meters and I chose to play replay, and now I'm at a high ball from 3 meters because we got an even worse set off a bad cover. Now you're just in a worse situation.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I still remember talking to Freddie and Freddie Winters, and this was, a few years ago, and he was playing in Russia, and he talked about, sometimes play in that play replay and their team getting up the point, but him getting in shit, for the coach going after him because he didn't kill the ball, even though their replay they set it up. So it's always interesting to see how that's changed over the years. But I feel like, is that something specifically like Team Canada? It does seem like our coverage was always really good, like in those scrappy like little moments, like when we're good, when your team was good, the coverage was really good. Did that give you guys that confidence to play those play replays, to throw those balls off the block, to kind of reset the offense?
I think it's always encouraged. I think it's hard though because I feel maybe it's different now, but there's a lot of similar archetypes of players in Canada. Whereas
Yeah.
Pull out Serbia and watch Uroš play, and then watch Ivovic play, and then watch Katic play, and then watch there's 6 different kinds of outsides.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I would say, for example, there's Perrin and Eric,
Yeah.
which I'd kind of place into the same category. Steve Marshall was more of a unicorn. He was kind of the one-off. And then I'd say then there's guys like myself, Nick, Brody, kind of in a similar vein. And it's there's no lefties, there's no this, there's no, and it's I'm interested to see. I did get to see some of the guys this summer, and maybe there's going to be a bit of a different situation with what they kind of grow into, but there wasn't a lot of guys who was that was the primary mode, it wasn't. His primary mode was to score.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even there was a moment where we had Brody and Skylar Varga out there, and I was like, oh, this just looks like Maar and Perrin. We were just seeing the same type of archetypes of players that come up over and over again. But I just think that's due to our club system. We all try to teach to an archetype of player as opposed to just letting the guys flow and play, or people, because it happens on the women's side as well.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see what's going to happen with volleyball in Canada. I think just watching the young Italians, especially in their club system, because they'll train after us, or sometimes they'll train or maybe one guy will be hurt and one of them will train with us. They are so much technically, so much better technically at a young age. It's absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I'm going to do probably before I stop playing is I'm going to probably take a couple of weeks and go take my agent aside and ask him who is the best youth coach in Italy, and I'm going to go sit and watch and I'm going to go probably sit and watch and learn because like if we're talking about like levels of volleyball that you're training, like let's say level 1, 2, and 3. Let's say 2 is collegiate level and like provincial team types of 3 is national team, pro Olympic level. Level 1 is like your 14U to 16U high school players.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I need to learn like how to regress skills down to level 1. And like some of those coaches are so refined and so good at teaching things at a level 1 level that it's so applicable like across the board, and they can go one to many. And yeah, I have a daughter now, so I'm gonna be leveraging all the Italians I know to figure out how to train her to be absolutely incredible if she chooses to be.
I mean, like, let's hope so, because both of her parents are quite fantastic athletes. So let's just
You'd hope so.
and let's just make sure she's got the right nationalities. Let's just put it that, okay?
It's tough. She's already American. She's not Canadian yet.
She's not Canadian yet. Steve, what are we doing? What are we doing out here?
I haven't been back. I've been in Minnesota the whole summer. I haven't been back to get her citizenship yet.
Has your mom been out?
Yeah. They flew down a couple weekends ago. Got to see her, and then we're going back for a little bit just before we head over to Istanbul. So
that makes sense. But yeah, I've always wanted to do kind of a tour and like look at, like, for me, the places to look at in terms of how they train their youth would be like Italy, Poland, Japan, and Brazil, and just go in.
You don't want to see the French.
Oh shit, yeah. Well, okay. Here's what my thing.
I would drop Poland out of that.
You would drop. You would take Poland out of that? Yeah.
Okay. I would, just from the guys. Okay, just from the guys I know, like Brazil. Yeah, Brazil. I would definitely want to see. Japan. I think your mind would get blown by some of the blocking machine, some of the weird stuff of like. Rand told me that they would do 3 hours of just defense daily.
That's wild.
He told me that he would show up at school, like I think it was like 6 a.m. They would train for like an hour and a little bit before school. Then they would go to school. Then they would eat. They would eat like a bunch of rice as fast as they could, and then they would train for 3 hours, and that was their day. I was like, dude, like 99% of the kids in Canada would quit. Dude, like, anyone who's like not got crazy Japanese discipline would quit because like there's no way.
Bro, I know 18U teams who train like twice a week. You know,
dude,
like,
yeah, I'm just like,
it's wild.
Yeah, so if you're looking at it like that, like I would love to like take a young me and be like, so you want to be the best? Let's go figure out what it means to play defense like the Japanese.
Guys, if you could see a young Stephen Maar, if you could see a young Stephen Maar, I don't know if I've talked about this with you on the show, but I've talked about it like in like the Discord and stuff like that. But I still remember the first time like I was aware of you was at Madawaska, and it was on that like first day, and everyone's talking shit. Like everyone is talking shit, and like you all, it was like, yo, yeah, you.
Why? What?
Well, because it was
I thought Madawaska was a nice, friendly place.
It was but it was like it was friendly. It was friendly shit talking, but we were just all playing King's Court, and because it was like the last year that people got like judged, and like if you were good enough, you got put up in top cabin and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's sick.
But
that is survival of the fittest type. Yeah, that's a Hunger Games type camp. I love that.
Because like I was heading into 18U, I think you were heading into 16U, and we were just like running lines. And I remember like one time I went up there as a blocker and I had Sergei Bogobovsky off of me and he destroyed my block. And I was just like, okay, like Sergei crushes me. And the next one is like, oh, this is like Stephen Maar. And I'm like, okay, like just like another young kid, like I'm gonna get him here. And you just used my block like completely. And you just like, you gave me a bit of a flex. And I mean, you were like 15 at the time too. Like you were still a bit of a young kid, you know, and still had like a little bit of baby weight on you as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt so ashamed. at the time. But then if I look at that crew that you guys had in your cabin that year, it was like all of your Crush boys and eventually all of your Mac team. Because it was like you, it was Coker, it was Demyanenko, you had Lucas
Yeah.
Coleman in there. Your brother was also in your cabin too, right? Like Ryan
Yeah, I think so.
was in that group. He ended up winning the Paul Brownstein Award that year as like the top male camper. Uh, and yeah, like that was a sick group of guys that you came up with in Ontario. Like that was almost kind of like the golden age of Ontario volleyball there, with that Crush group you were with.
Yeah, there was a lot of good competition between people then, and I think there was also like a really strong. I think one of the things that's pretty different now, I'm not sure, like I'm pretty far removed from the situation, but there was a lot of emphasis on like level one skills that we were just talking about, but there was also a lot of emphasis on competing against older people. Like that was as encouraged as possible because Crush would play, for example, a year up and then 2 years up. Some of them would play 2 years up.
Yeah.
I played my year and then on my brother's year. And then I played when I was at HBC. I was on the U19 team, but I was 16 or
Yeah.
15 at the time. Then those guys would all go play beach and they would all play adult.
Yeah.
And like they had the choice to play youth or adult, and they chose to play adult because they wanted that. And I think like that's what changed a lot of the things for those guys. And I think like that's like the easiest. It's the best path to being successful as a player, but like it's also the hardest because would you rather go play youth and maybe get a medal, or would you rather play adult and probably lose and get ninth at a beach tournament?
Yeah, you were
But
if you're playing youth, you're playing against me. Like that's what was happening. Or you could go play open and go and like the beach tour back then. Like you didn't play much beach tour though, eh?
I played a little bit, but not a lot. But I was around enough to get the ins and outs. Like I would play beach. I would see. Here's the thing. I would never train for beach.
Yeah.
I would just show up on the weekend and be like, "Oh man, why have everybody roll shotting? There's only one block."
But it was like the OVA beach tour back then was like a social scene as well too. Like you
Yeah,
would go
it's
sign
sick.
up. You would just go sign up for the tournament so you could go
Is it
hang out with
not
your
like
friends.
that?
I honestly don't know. I've been so removed from the club situation. I
Oh,
do
okay.
think I do think that because it's way bigger now, right? Especially amongst like the younger girls. Like it's too
Yeah.
big. It's too big for Ashbridges, so they have to like they really have to cap it.
Okay, that sucks.
And I mean
Yeah,
Ashbridges has the
that
second
sucks.
most permanent nets in the world, so it's not like it's not like we're
Yeah.
lagging behind in facilities. But I'm honestly not entirely sure. I think for some people, beach is as big, but I don't think is that was as like you ubiquitously big across like the entire like people would drive in to play the beach tournaments from all over back in the day, and I
Yeah.
just don't know if that's the case.
Oh, yeah. We drive a couple hours. Like you drive 2 hours to play,
Yeah,
but yeah,
but like when
no.
at that point did you start realizing that you were like different and better than everyone else?
I don't think I was. I think that's the thing is like I wasn't. I think I love the game, and I think I'm trying to. I was just trying to achieve some of the goals I had set for myself, and I really wanted to go to the games, and I, I think I had like a long term guiding goal, but then it was easy to judge things based on that. And then I was pretty fortunate. Like my parents also helped me make good decisions. Like for example, I went to Bill Crothers. I didn't go to my home high school, and my
Yeah,
mom
yeah.
took a different job, and we drove 45 minutes a day to high school because my mom probably knew me better than I knew myself, and she was like, you might get into some trouble if you go to this high school."
Yeah.
And
Which was
so
that like
like
Aurora
road,
High?
it would have been Williams.
Williams. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like roadblock, like kind of pothole avoided for me,
Hmm.
like wasn't my choice, but when I'm super fortunate that I was able to do it. And then I got to go to Mac, which was awesome. And Dave also like there's university coaches, and then there's like life coaches, and then there's like guys who like I still talk to Dave.
For
I
sure.
talk to Dave frequently, but like also like he wanted me to go to the games. He was like, okay, like I want you here to play here, and like if we win, that's great, but like I want you to do that.
But
So
before McMaster, you had another decision to make because you were actually slated to go to Hawaii, right?
yeah,
And then you made that decision, and I remember you basically announced, and like at the time, like turning down Hawaii was kind of like, the NCAA in terms of male volleyball players from Canada. Now it's a little bit different. We can maybe talk about that, but it's back then it really wasn't a big thing. Like Steve Hunt was down there. I think that was about it.
yeah,
But you came out and basically said that, like, my destiny is going to be determined by how hard I work, and
yeah.
ultimately, now knowing everything you know about Dave, knowing everything I know about Dave and everything, like I 100% think that was the best decision you could have made.
Yeah, I think I had to like I was also fortunate. Like for example, I had a 95% scholarship to Hawaii,
Shit. Okay.
but which was exceptionally rare at that time. Um,
Also,
but
just I just will pause there just for context. You played for, and just for people who don't necessarily know, like if we have some internationals, you played for what I consider the best club team in Canada's history, with
probably,
like no doubt about it. I know because I had to coach against you all year long. I'm pretty sure like one of 3 sets you guys lost was against us in the provincial final, and we did it because we served you in the second set. So I still love that. Um, uh, and you were the best player on a team that, like, you guys went and destroyed the SoCal JOs tournament and won that too. Like beat Ben Patch and like a whole bunch of team. Like you guys were the best club team in North America that year, hands down, no doubt about it. And you were the
that
best player on
that
that team.
that team peaked at that tournament though.
Yeah.
Like after like oh okay, a lot of guys know like like that was the main thing, and then after that, because before like I don't know, like you don't miss practice. Like nobody missed practice.
No.
After that, then there was people missing practice, everybody committing to their different universities, wearing their different shirts like it was just, and then honestly, it was like kind of a like the quality was slowly going down, but it was enough to still win. But at that tournament it was quite exceptional because I think everybody was competitive enough to know like if we win this, we are
The best
high
team.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um, in terms of like the university stuff, like I think there was a good mix of good and bad lessons that I had to learn, and I started like, for example, Nate Jansen, like he was able to show me like how to analyze volleyball,
Yeah.
and then
And
Dave put me on.
what a guy to do it too. Nate Jansen is like
Yeah,
one of the best that I know to be able to do that.
yeah, and then Dave kind of showed me Loyola One, which was the I don't know if anyone knows this.
That's the
This was like
OG
old
Champions League
school,
streaming.
yeah, old school streaming service, and it's like, and then for example, like I watched Poland in 2011, I believe, because Anastasi was the coach, and he
Yeah.
was one of the only coaches who would speak English. So I'd be like, oh, great, I get to at least listen to someone speaking English. But like I was doing that, and I kind of treated my university time as a pro. So it was it just I think everybody what you really want in the end is and if you're able to work for it, like you'll be able to kind of have a chance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, obviously I'm 6'7", so it's like okay, like you got to also kind of put some things into perspective of if you're playing a sport like volleyball or basketball or something like that. But in the end, like I was really lucky that I went there, and then I had I played well enough, and I kind of chose and picked and chose like what I would work on. So like my last year of Mac, this drove Dave nuts, but like I worked out most of the week and after matches if we won in three, because I knew technically and competitively like the OUA wouldn't push myself or my teammates to where we need to be pushed. And I had just gone to world championships and I had played against guys who are my age who are playing on pro teams who are way better, technically, way better. So it's like, okay, you have to get better physically, but then you're not supposed to, and you have to hide it from Dave, and drove him
Wait,
nuts.
you had to hide your working out from Dave?
Yeah,
From
I can put
Preston?
it. I can put it. I can put it out there now. Dave, Dave's IST meetings or like sport meetings was like Steve's working out and he's not supposed to be. His shins are driving him nuts, and then like my buddy was helping me go into the like weight room, and I would just go at like 6:30 in the morning, and I would just hide it from people because that's what I wanted to do, you know. So it's like,
Is that why your team was so injured in 2016? Where like A Rich could barely jump because his shins were all messed up. Like
I don't know.
so many of your guys were so messed up. Are you just in there being like, you boys better get in the gym. I don't care what Dave says. Get in the gym. Let's go.
I I can be a force for good and a force for bad in a team culture. I don't know. It depends. It really depends, man. I think I think in national team it's the same. Like I can sometimes be a great asset, and sometimes I can be difficult to be around. So
That's fair. I mean, it's because you care. It's because you're passionate. That
I like to think so.
that Mac team, is that the best team to never win a championship?
Honestly, it's so funny because like you go around like national team now, and there's like so many guys that like love like Can West guys like love throwing that out. And I'm gonna give another controversial statement. There's so many of them that are like will throw that around until they see someone who's like an OUA guy that's way better than them, and they'll just kind of give them a little smile, and they realize at the end, like, okay, you won a Can West or you won a CIS gold, but in the end, you're not even half the players some other players. And it's just like, and that's like a controversial competitive take that you could only have if you didn't win, which is what I take.
That's that.
Yeah, no, like their system and their athletes. Honestly, I'm not surprised that it is the way it is. Um, Also, like knowing knowing their league schedule, knowing some of their coaches, knowing a lot of their athletes, and knowing a lot of their training situations, I'm not surprised that they're better. Now, it's strange to me that they have not won yet. Um, I would have probably also bet that my team would have been the team. And had I gone back, I would have also bet on that team. But
If
it
there
just
was
didn't
ever a
work out.
team that was going to do it, if it was your team, right? Because there was the like in your 4 years that he was there was 13 where you guys had to play Laval and at Laval at home, and that's maybe
Yeah,
one
I
of the
wasn't playing. I was watching that game.
yeah they had Mar or not, sorry, not Mar, you're Mar, Jory, and who was the other left side?
Kevin Stevens.
Kevin Stevens, yeah, Jory and Kevin Stevens on that. Then in 14, you guys, I'm gonna say shit the bed against Western in the semis, where you guys hadn't lost to them in like 9 matches, and then somehow at Alberta, um,
Was that Alberta or Calgary?
sorry, at Calgary,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah. Now I'm remembering was Garrett May
yeah, it
and
was
Scapinello.
Garrett
Scapinello had
May
like 38 points.
and Scapinello, yeah, and I still remember like you guys won the first and you were up in the second, and so much so that like I wasn't even watching, and I turned around and Western like won that set and then won the next three. 2015, I don't really know what happened because I didn't watch it. I was commentating the women. Uh,
Sask.
yeah, Sask, you guys lost to Trinity in the semis.
Yeah, I'm not like that one was.
Yeah,
I could understand that one.
yeah, and then 2016, I still think is like
Yeah, that was tough. That one hurts.
that one is still. I mean, on paper, there's no reason that you guys should have been losing to that Trinity game, that Trinity team in that game. That one was just, to me, it was just like a Benjo masterpiece where in-game changes that were made weren't necessarily replicated on the other side.
Yeah, I was pretty set they were going to be playing Alberta, to be totally honest with you. And I
What
was kind of the whole time I was thinking about Alberta. And
Because
like
Taylor
I will,
Arnett got injured in the semis.
yeah,
That's
yeah, I
what
remember
happened.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is probably one of the best guys I've seen who could have really helped our national team who didn't play.
Really?
Yeah, by the end, dude, he was a monster as a middle.
Yeah.
And like, who like I don't. Okay, maybe there's gonna be guys that are way older that I don't know about. Like I don't know. Like the only other one that like comes to mind right away is like Ben Ball.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I didn't play Ben Ball, and like I didn't play really Carl the Grand Prix, and I didn't play Mitch Irvine, and like those are all Mitch Irvine's thing was a concussion thing. But like I didn't play those guys. But like when I knew Taylor Arnett was like not gonna do it, I was like, man, what? This
Yeah.
guy's
He was,
sick.
especially his connection with Walsh back then, because
Yeah,
like
it was
I remember
nuts.
Rod would just tell me about how he would just put them in the gym and they would just play for hours and they would always be trying stuff. And then that's honestly why I think they lost to Trinity in that semifinal, just because they couldn't open up the offense as well with I forget who they had, Aaron Chambers in there, who still did a very good job, but it wasn't as good. But yeah, I mean, I thought you guys were playing Alberta too. I always wanted that Alberta versus McMaster matchup in those years, and I never got it. And then in that
I
final,
think we only played them preseason.
bro, oh, it
We
never
only played them once in preseason at
it
Mac.
it happened in my all of my years in volleyball. I've seen Mac versus Alberta once, and that was a couple years ago, 2023, I think, at nationals, when Mac beat Alberta in the bronze medal match for Dave's last match. That's the only time I've seen Mac versus Alberta, and I wanted it for so long because I was talking so much shit for the OUA back then too. Like I was in my young 20s, like I was at the same age as all the guys. Like I had my own volleyball podcast. I would talk so much shit for the OUA because it was the
You
only
are still talking so much shit.
Oh
I go
yeah,
on the Discord every once in a while. I can't go on the Discord anymore. I don't go on the Discord for anything.
that's probably a
The
good idea.
amount the amount of shit talking that goes on, and I
Oh,
want like I really gotta know. I really gotta know these keyboard warriors. Who are these amazing players who figured out the entire game that I just don't know about because they're just man, that Discord drives me up the fucking wall.
oh man,
People telling me about passing stats. People telling me about, oh, well, this guy got that many kills. It's like, dude, maybe he spiked only one-on-ones the entire game. The other guy was hitting high balls. And you think this guy's a better player? Like, yeah, you're a fucking Moneyball magician over there. Oh, man. This is a shout out to the Discord. Yeah, you guys don't know shit. Just so you know. Just so you're
oh,
fucking aware.
that is getting clipped so fast, so fast. That's awesome.
I've been wanting to tell those keyboard warriors that for a long time. So good. I'm happy about it.
Oh man, you know what? It is before like the Discord. I mean, the main Discord I don't really go to for information anymore. I go to mostly for entertainment, just kind of like stir the pot a little bit too. But before, like the OG of it was just a lot of people who are really smart and knew really good volleyball. So like we would have
Oh yeah, no, I used to like it.
Really good
Oh yeah,
discussions.
I used to like it.
And now
it got ruined.
But it's not necessarily ruined. It's just
I'm not a troll.
Yeah.
I'm not a troll guy. I like
yeah.
when people like actually have good conversations about volleyball. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm like dialed into that.
I do think that there's going to be one day, maybe in the near future, there might just be like a secret Discord where I only invite the smart people. There actually is like I'm already involved in some of those things, but it's not curated by me. So that's the difference that I would want it. But yeah, the Discord has grown into be so much. I always love when I see your mom too, because she always just comes over and she'll be so in on it, to the point where she'll bring up some like crazy, like obscure stuff.
Yeah,
it's just like, you're watching like really intently.
Yeah, they like it. No, but yeah, no, it's interesting. Speaking of that stuff, though, like I think in like the way that volleyball media has kind of opened up, I think it's pretty cool, and I think a lot of people now have access to games and to data and to just ways to actually improve themselves in like a very it's a much more accessible fashion. And I think there's a lot more popularity in volleyball, but I think there's probably a lot more noise now. Like you don't really know where to go to actually learn these things.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe a bit more of the tough thing in today's day and age. There's actually like too much information now. And man, if you don't have like YouTube Premium, you're watching 86 ads to get one guy's like take on this weird nuanced play. And it's tough. And then there's a hook, line, and sinker thing. And yeah, it's tough to search out there and find information, but it's
Yeah,
it's
there's a lot of
there.
it. But like you're working on something right now. You're right. You're working on a little bit of a side project, maybe a little bit of a future something to work for the future. So like tell me a little bit about what you've been working on.
So it's interesting. I've had like two or three different ways to go about things. So initially, I created, well, myself and Molly have created actually some new knee pads and some different stuff for Canada. Actually, it's gonna be a blend of a couple of different of the famous knee pads and some of the best stuff that I've been working with. So the renderings are just done with the company now, so they can be taken into production for
Okay.
leg sleeves, arm sleeves, and knee pads. And that's going to be something that's pretty fun to do, apparel wise. And then originally, um, I was going to create a one to many, more of an educational thing about
Mm-hmm.
volleyball, like actually how to improve. And I think in the end, just having a baby and still playing and all these other things that are kind of going on, it's not going to be, I can't make it exactly what I wanted to make it yet. So I've kind of pulled back on that. And I think what I actually really am going to end up doing is I'm going to hopefully take about 1 to 5 guys, and I'm going to actually, like, when people start to ask the question of like, okay, I'm 15 here. The next Olympics that I can reasonably make is probably when I'm 22. Okay, what happens in the middle there? Because there's so many times when you have a coach, you have a club coach, maybe your coach changes, maybe you have a weights coach, maybe that coach changes, and everybody's got different ideas, different plans, different structures, different things for you to be doing, and probably not very many of them have like a long-term play in mind. So what I kind of want to do is I want to take on a contract basis both myself and the athlete of like, hey, these are the things that I'm expecting from you if I'm going to invest time and work with you to try and make your dreams come true. But these are the things that I can provide you. So honestly, to provide honestly a developmental guide and kind of going at the thing from all the angles of everything that I've learned from sports performance coaches, nutritionists, weights coaches, technical game, all the stuff I've learned from Piazza, Anastasia, Johnny, all the coaches I've gone through, and kind of be able to try and take a personalized plan to people's development. And I think that's going to be a bit more of a sustainable project than trying to do everything now. And I'll probably save that until I'm done,
Yeah.
and then kind of get into something like that. But I think it's a project that's really cool to me. Like, because I would have loved to have someone who was able to kind of draw out a roadmap and see like, hey, like what are we gonna do here?
Well, that pathway just like wasn't there back then to either. You know,
So,
the idea of playing professional volleyball in the 2000s was, as a Canadian, was crazy. You know, I
well,
remember
even
like
now though, like, how would you go about it? Like, if some 14-year-old came to you and you saw like, okay, physically you have some promise, like, and you were to say like, okay, like, you want to get a scholarship, you want to make the national team one day, like, what would you? And you're like, this mom is coming to you, be like, ever, some stuff about volleyball. Where would you start? How would you allocate time? How would you break down a percentage of time and kind of guide this development?
for
And
sure.
it's just like, dude, it takes a lot of time to think about like, how would you actually work it about? But like,
Yeah.
I would love to hear what you think.
I mean, like for me, like I did coach for like like full time for quite a few years. So like depending for me at the younger age groups, it's all about like those first level skills. So it's all about like touch and like serving, passing. It's all like how can we execute the skills, but then also how can you play the game. It's like when you ask me this, I think it's a little difficult because if it's a mom that's asking me, she's asking for how does my player get here, but I don't like. I think that there's a lot of I guess holes in the Canadian system that could be fixed.
I know.
Like for me,
but like we can't fix all the like in Canada. My God, there's the amount of potholes that I can find in today's day and age. It's unbelievable. So you can't be, but it's more about evading potholes.
100%. So for me, it just, I like to emphasis on like a lot of gameplay. I think one of our biggest issues in Canada is that we actually don't play enough. You know, like we train however much per week to play these like shitty little tournaments in a 1 day span where you're playing 8 matches and every match matters. So you can't even like rotate the guys or the players like in and out. I think how we play the game, like we just don't play it at a casual level. Like for me, what I see that we're missing is like we're missing a lot of those high skilled players because we just don't have a lot of players who are just around the ball a lot and around the game a lot at a casual level, who just kind of like play it and like and live the game in some of those ways. The way I hear that, you know, when I was in Brazil for beach stuff last summer and talking to some of those guys, it's just like, oh no, we just start playing in kind of the community and then we play at the community center, and if we like that, then we go to this team. It's just more of a progressive nature as opposed to this just like in Canada, you like it a little bit in high school, you go play club, and then all of a sudden you're in club and you're getting taught the skills as opposed to necessarily the game. Like for me, I'd love to see way more of an emphasis on the actual game because we're teaching the skills pretty well. Like if you look at compared to like the world that the Canadian volleyball world that we grew up in the 2000s compared to the world that they have now in 2025, it's a vast difference. It's a vast difference in what's happening.
So my question is that is all outside of the athlete's control.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I think really did serve me in my kind of journey is I tried to take everything that was in my control and maximize that.
Yeah.
So my issue with all of that is like, then you just got to hope that this person who is leading your club team or leading your club organization, like I did a camp here in Minnesota, and I found out that you can't, they didn't want you to teach diving and rolling. Like you can't, that was not part of the club's decision of like skills to be taught.
Wow.
So for example, but like, fine. I don't see a lot of people diving and rolling. That's fine. But here's my question then. So there's a decision made essentially from someone who's not in the gym with you about what skills you have access to, what skills you can learn, and things that are fun. Like diving and rolling is fun once you start to figure it out. Yeah, but
it's like that curmudgeon coach is like, you're not going to do the fun stuff until we practice. Like you're not going to hit the ball until you practice on practicing.
But then you start to figure it out. It's just like, okay, so like what is in my control? And that's where the void that I want to enter into with all of this stuff is like, okay, what's in your control? What can we work on? And I think wanting to fix the potholes of the system, I don't know, like you've worked in volleyball in Canada for a long time. I don't know if I'd be holding my breath on that.
No. There's definitely no change.
Like I love playing. I love playing. I love playing for Canada, and I love that. And you never know, but
will we see you? Will we see you again playing for Canada? Is that a possibility?
Maybe. I don't know.
You know,
there's always you never know what's gonna.
There's
happen.
A pretty big tournament at home next summer that could
lead
to
home?
Yeah.
Is that classified information?
No, it's on Norseek. It's on the Norseka website. It's public information.
Tell me more.
So like the zonal qualification tournament for the Olympics
Yeah,
will be happening
I
in
know.
Canada in the summer or fall of 2026 as the NORCECA
It's
Championships.
yeah, it's in September.
Yeah,
Like on
in
the
September.
FIVB, the dates are already outlined for the athletes, but I thought you meant you knew where it was.
No, I have,
But
I
it's in
have.
Canada. I didn't know it was in Canada.
It's 100% in Canada, according to the well.
Uh,
I know it's in Canada because some people have told me it's in Canada, and I know of a few places that
yes.
have like bid or are bidding for the tournament. I don't know if it's necessarily been chosen yet, but yeah, that would be a big one. You could do it at home too. You know, it might be pretty easy.
Wow. Cool.
But if not, you can come and hang out. You can join us on the broadcast or something. I don't know if we'll have the broadcast, but
Yeah, I didn't have to. I'm either there or I'm in Turkey, so I can
that's
join
true.
for a late night watch party.
That's gonna be very fair. Did you miss it at all this year? Like how much did you follow the VNL this year?
Less than I really thought I would,
Okay,
honestly. So
but I mean,
my
you were
daughter,
going through some
my
things at the same time, right?
yeah, so my daughter was born on June 28th.
Okay.
So kind of smack dab in the middle. And I watched about half of half of games. So I would watch a little bit here, a little bit there. I would turn off the first part of the set and I would watch after 20. Um, I would get frustrated, I would get heated, I would get excited. I was I was invested. And like I texted some of the guys and I was really, really quite happy and proud of that. And honestly, I was kudos to where kudos is due. I was proud of Volleyball Canada for the Quebec City thing. I think that was actually really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I'm super proud that arena was like that for them. I think that's incredible. I was super excited for the girls to have Ottawa and to
They
have
blocked
that
off too. Yeah.
kind of. And like I feel like we've been kind of performing in Ottawa for a while, and I've seen it kind of grow each year. And you're welcome, girls. There's always that banter between the two programs, and you never know. Like maybe at one point we'll be at the same training centers in one place. You never know, and that would be a kind of a volleyball hub for Canada. You never know. But,
Go back to the Winnipeg days. They had that before, back in the
yeah,
2000s. I honestly,
it just can't be in
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
I honestly don't think. I don't honestly don't. No offense to Winnipeg. I was born there, but like, let's be honest here.
I'm not gonna hold back the offense there. I think there's a lot. There's so many better places. I'm sorry.
Hey, there's a reason I live
That's the
in.
most Winnipeg thing of all time, though. People from Winnipeg love it there. They love it. They will never say bad about it. They
Well,
like Casey Skelton, Josh McKay, those people, Jared Allen. They live in.
but
They
those are
will
all
die for Winnipeg.
those are all the Winnipeg guys that stayed there, right? Like those are all the Winnipeg guys. Like especially those guys, they just went to UW.
Yeah, but like I went there, we played there, and I was just like, man. They're like, yeah, it's the best, isn't it? I was just like, okay, like you guys love it. I get it.
To be honest though, I don't think that could ever happen because even like I was talking to like some of the just the people at the center this year, and they're like, oh yeah, no, like this team has to go train in Halifax this summer because we don't have enough room for them in the center. And it's kind of like the same thing in Vancouver too, because there's so many programs being run. Like U19 ran two teams, right? One team went to Pan Am Cup, the other team went to U21 Worlds. Now our captain got injured there, and we went over or in pools, but still, like there's way more programs being run out of Volleyball Canada at the moment too. And I actually think like right now we're seeing like the past couple of years we've had the best B team we've ever seen, and that B team has now transitioned almost seamlessly to being the A team and doing a not bad job.
Yeah, like I would say too. Like I think for any younger players, like the earlier you can get involved with playing with the best people you can play with. Like there was no youth. There's a lot of guys who went to youth worlds for beach because there was a youth team, like
Yep.
under 19 team, but there wasn't anything for indoor at that time. So, um, do that if you can. I think it's super cool, and I I don't know. I hope Volleyball Canada can keep offering programs like that. And I don't know, like I know some funding left Volleyball Canada after the last Olympics, um, and like our performance there wasn't what everybody had imagined. But to be honest with you, just going there was
Right.
definitely not what a lot of us had imagined. So I think in the end, like it's it is like I know a lot of people in the European side will talk the smack. They're going to talk about domestic qualifiers and all that sort of stuff. But we qualified from VNL points after we had already qualified from the last chance qualifier. So all those guys on the Discord can suck it. Um, just take another shot while I'm on air. I could
Do
just
it,
take another
please,
one
please,
here.
please.
But yeah, no, I think in the end, I think the younger guys are doing a really good job, and I think it took them a couple of years, and it took all of us a couple of years to kind of find our way and find our way how to play in those moments, and I and I'm proud of them honestly, and I think there's young players like the quality of younger athlete in the gym now is really high. So yeah, I hope it keeps working for them. But there's probably a couple places in the country that you can imagine that could house everybody.
Yeah, there might be a few spots, but
I don't know.
yeah, is that what you want? You think we should just like make it a women's and men's breeding ground, for lack of a better
No,
term?
no. I think like if you think about serve machines, you think about just like equipment, you think about bringing together nutritionists, you think about bringing together a weight program, you think about using all of the vertical equipment and all the sensors and all the stuff, and you just say, okay, like we can have two data sets that are corroborating with each other, and you can everybody can have access to more equipment, more things, and there's definitely things from the men's game the women can learn, and there's definitely things from the like women's game the men can learn. And I think
Hmm.
having those coaches side by side, having those strength coaches side by side, having sports performance psychologists side by side, having all these people working together is probably going to be a better product. At least that's what I would hope.
Is
Um,
are you seeing things in like European settings that would, like, are you seeing other situations that uh, touch to that?
okay, I played in Italy where dollars the Italians make more in a week than we probably make in maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And that's like just, and that's like not like, then we pay for housing on top of that. Like in terms of a cost basis, like it's night and day. So if you're talking about like, do the Italians have serving machines? Yeah. We literally got a serving machine a couple of years ago because Thomas was an absolute beauty and was like, this is unacceptable. Like this thing can't break every time. It's just like, dude, like, but I even like had conversations about like, okay, can we all just like host a camp? Like host a camp? No, I'm not joking. Can we all just host a camp and fundraise so that we can get a serving machine? Like, no, but I'm dead
I know
serious. Like, I don't mind doing that.
I know you're not joking. I'm just remembering like other similar conversations I've had with Team Canada members over the year, both women and men, and beach and everything.
But then you're looking at like other countries, like they have everything. But I'm saying, okay, like let's just accept the fact that we don't have everything, and let's just amalgamate what we do have, and it could probably be an optimal situation, you know.
Mhm.
And
So,
if
so
people want
you
to get together, they get together. Who cares? I don't care.
so you're looking at it from like a cost cutting and a cost, sorry, not cost cutting, but like a cost saving situation.
Cost savings, but the other one too is like I think like the that actual distribution of information would probably be helpful for both parties because I'm sure that there's things that people are working on that could be helpful to each other. You know,
Yeah, for sure. I definitely don't disagree with that,
yeah,
especially when our national team situation is like oftentimes you're bringing in like, before it was Thomas and Antigua. Now it's Guidetti. Like we're bringing in top tier international coaching
Yeah,
talent. Like you don't
you're
think
getting great
Guidetti
guys.
has some stuff that could help permeate through the entirety of
Well,
the program? Like
like
100%.
here's the thing too that like people don't get is like if you put everyone there and then you had them open gym practices, you
Yeah,
don't think like imagine in a city like Calgary, for example, you don't
yeah, yeah,
think that youth coaches, young coaches, could go and watch a world class coach, and
yeah.
then you go watch and you see what like the U19 national team is doing, so maybe a bit more scaled back down. You don't think that's going to inspire or give people like information or
Yeah. But those opportunities are there, available. Like it's it's an open practice right now to go watch Dan and the men's team when they're in Gatineau. I'm not
yeah,
entirely sure about the women's team. Like I know it's a bit of a different setup at the Oval. It's not like they have bleachers for people to go watch, but
yeah.
yeah, I think it would be very very interesting to have kind of like a high performance center, but also just like how Volleyball Canada works. Like it's everything is kind of spread out where you have the head office in Ottawa, you've got the beach team in Toronto, the women in Vancouver and such. But yeah, I think it would be really interesting to have everyone all together. I've heard some stories about those Winnipeg days back in the day, and sounds like there was some fun times to be had out there. You
I don't know
mentioned
anything about that.
you mentioned some of the great coaches you've coached with. Who is the best coach you've worked with?
That's tough.
That's tough. That's all you're gonna give me is that's tough. You don't
I
want to play
think
fate.
like I can give you things I learned from each coach, but I can't give you the best coach.
Fair enough.
Like, some coaches, for example, some coaches help my game in spiking. Some coaches help my understanding of volleyball as general. Some coaches help, like, how do you function in a team?
Hmm.
Like, what skill is more valuable to you? And then you realize you can't choose.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I'll break it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Valerio Baldovin in Padova taught me a lot about footwork and a lot about being able to spike where I'm not facing. So off shoulder spiking externally and internally. And he gave me a large leash with A situations and B situations. So balls to score, balls not to score. Nikola Gerbich in Verona gave me a lot on just like mental attitude and like kind of that Eastern Serbian like this has to be perfect and like the mantra of like oh it can be no, it has to be perfect. And I think that kind of set a lot of standards for me. In some ways it was good, some ways it was bad. Janjo took me out against Perugia. I think I was spiking at 60% when there was a random ball that went up in the middle of the court off a dig and someone had made a really bad bump set and I was in position 6 and I didn't spike it over. I just set it over. Subbed me out and told me I'll watch the rest of the game because if I'm not going to spike that ball, nobody is. He also, we were up 24-22 and I spiked the ball out and this is kind of interesting because Janjo lost. This is kind of interesting. Janjo lost Olympic gold where he didn't score on that ball, which is kind of funny at the end, but because he won with France as a coach. But timeout, and he went to the setter, who was Spreadley at the time, said, you set him again. If you don't score, you will come out and you won't play anymore. So it's like, okay, the side out is coming. The ball is guaranteed going to be for me. It's like, you have to score. And like, those are moments that you don't forget.
Yeah.
Moscow, I didn't learn that much, honestly. If I'm honest. But it was honestly, there was a lot to do with language barrier there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Coming back, Piazza, learned about the study of analytics of volleyball. He's got like 6 different markers on his little paper and he's watching everything from every different angle. Good situations, bad situations, need to work on situations, breaking the whole thing down. He's a magician and a madman. And yeah. Fabio Soli had me change my spike serve position to position 5, which has been immensely more successful for me. And I was able to fix my body. So that whole situation allowed for me to make some of the biggest gains I made in reception and serving in 1 year. Monza, I was given a lot of freedom to do what I wanted to do, to work on what I wanted to work on, but with Eckley, and I appreciated that. Anastasi and then Travitsa. Travitsa was a lot on the fundamentals. Anastasi he was an amazing guy. And he was big on error management as well, but I really just enjoyed like being around him. National team coaches, I think Glenn was when he was my younger national team coach, when I was a lot younger, was big on high ball management. That was huge for me. Ben Josephson taught us how to move, which biomechanic principles was huge. And I didn't really learn all of that. I didn't really understand what he had taught me, him and Joe Trinzi had taught me until years later. And that's now how I would analyze and teach people volleyball, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
Antigua taught us all about small ball and French perfection, which was nice. And then Thomas let us believe in ourselves again when we had lost it, and taught me about being a professional. So, what I could pick one of those coaches? No.
The list of coaches that you just listed off that you have worked with is like, other than a few, you've worked with some of the biggest legends of the game.
Yeah.
Gianni, Gerbich, Samovuo, Glenn.
Yeah.
Like is Piazza that much of a genius? Because just like I remember watching Piazza coach you back in those Milano days, and it was like you and Yuki and was it Matej Kaczynski back then too?
No. It was Tine and then Jean was there.
Yes. Tine. And man, he would sub you out and I'd get so frustrated. And that's when I started calling Piazza a stooge. And then I interviewed him when he came in, when he was coaching with the Netherlands. I was like, oh, this guy's a genius. Like this guy knows volleyball.
Yeah.
And
I think our relationship was a bit difficult, me and Robbie's. And off the court it was better than I think on the court, and that's not the story I'm going to talk about. But I cannot deny his ability to analyze the game. You know, like there's some of those coaches on that list that work, like they're unquestionable on how much they work and how much they care. He is one of them. Because it's really hard to lead anyone if they don't believe that you're working just as hard as them.
Yeah.
And he is nuts, and he's willing to try things, which I think is also really cool. He's willing to be creative.
That's for sure. Earlier this year, I was doing a watch-along during the Italian playoffs. You jumped in and you mentioned that you thought the Dutch were going to get relegated because, the difference of coaching from Piazza to Joel Banks was going to be massive. Ultimately, you were right. You made the right call. Does that kind of prove that? Do you feel vindicated in your decision from back then?
No. I don't like for anybody to get relegated. I feel bad, and it sucks that it has to happen. But I just think that team on paper, and kind of the way they had played prior, and the leadership they had prior, was going to be an incredibly large change. And I didn't know one guy that would be able to rally everybody. And we had that with our year with Benjo, and it was a really difficult time. It was that is probably some of the hardest I've ever worked in the game ever. And we got second last. You know what it's like to work as hard as you can at something and get second last, be saved on the last game? That's insane. and like, yeah, I just didn't think, in my opinion, that the Dutchies were going to be able to pull it out.
That's right. I mean, they didn't. It was a tough spot too, not having Namir nor Arthur Termat. It was a, or Piazza, like a huge change in the program. You lose all your players. That's a difficult spot to be in there overall. Are we ever gonna like find out what happened in 2022 in the Benjo year? Or there's just some things that are just never gonna always stay behind closed doors?
I think honestly, I called Ben recently actually, and I apologized to Ben um, because I think in terms of sometimes in my ego, I mentioned that like I had a really hard year that year, and I was pouring as much of myself into the team. And when I made like a little coy joke that it's not always I was not always helpful for the team, and I was probably the best player on that team and had like really good, for all you keyboard guys, I had really good stats, you know, really good stats, really good scoring stats, really good stats. But that doesn't mean that I was a plus for the team, and that doesn't mean I was something like that. And in my opinion, I wasn't, and I got frustrated and I blamed people for us losing. And I actually had to go. Well, it was on my mind for a long time. I went back to Benjo and I apologized because I learned so much that year and I learned so much from them, but it took time for me to learn that. And I I felt bad with how it kind of all went. Um, and for things that happened beyond my control as an athlete, I, as I mentioned before, I don't concern myself with those things. I can control what I can control, and I made my peace with it, and I called him and I apologized, um, and I'm good with that. So I'm good to put that chapter to bed.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. It's as difficult as that chapter was. I don't think anyone can deny that it looks like the team is in some good hands right now, and that the direction that they're going and the stuff that like Lewis has been implementing and the way that team plays is. I'll speak for myself. I can let you, say yourself, but I was pleasantly surprised with that group of young guys being able to step up in the way that they did and play that the way they did. And I really enjoyed watching Lewis lead that team too. Like there was some learning moments in there for him as well, but ultimately I think like he's the guy to run it, and he's like a heart and soul guy who's been there with the program longer than anyone.
Yeah, I think he's got great energy and technically, I think it's always great when it's a player, just because you know they know,
Hmm.
and it makes everything a lot easier, um, because it doesn't always the game plan doesn't always pan out the way everyone thinks it's going to. The numbers don't always do what they say they're going to do. People don't always do what they're supposed to be doing on the fucking serve chart, and sometimes different things happen, and I think having a coach who is like already a really gifted player, like that helps. And then you can see like that desire to win is so strong, um, and his desire to change as well is big. Um, so I think that's cool. I think that's really exciting for the guys. Kudos also to Slater for going out there and tossing out a helping hand for those
Yeah.
couple of weeks, and I think, you know what, I think that's a really cool model that Dan has kind of presented to a lot of the national team is more of a US based model, because people can sometimes drop in and out and help where they can and because they want to. And I think that's really cool because it allows for people who have a bit more of a complex life. The Europeans don't necessarily understand this, but you leave everyone you care about for 9 months of the year, and then you come home for like Western Canada guys who are home for like what, 12 days,
Yeah.
something like that. And then like that's your life. So it's pretty hard when you have to do that and justify that with wife and kids, or whatever your situation is, or grandparents,
Yeah.
or parents, or dogs, or whatever you want to kind of get into it with. So I know Dan's kind of had a bit more of that structure on his mind, and I think Slater made a great contribution, and I think it's cool that he was able to bounce in and out, and I think that's something that the U.S. guys do really well, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, having his experience there, like especially in that first week in Quebec City, was huge.
Yeah,
And just watching him around the guys too it was a very interesting experience. But Dan, when I interviewed him before everything, was very emphatic in saying that like I want to allow the guys who are fathers, like being a father is one of your biggest priorities, if not your biggest priority, and I want to be able to allow like the space for those guys to be able to do that, which I think is absolutely huge, especially because like the reality is that when you look at it, like Paris and Tokyo, like Paris especially, should have been like the crowning achievement for like a group of guys like Graham and Gord and like TJ if he didn't got injured. Like there's a lot of guys there who, you know, had they been playing for other countries, still would have been playing for a national team. Like you're another guy included. Like we've got a lot of guys who give it their all in their 20s and then kind of pull back a little bit in their 30s because they want to spend some time with their family, even though they still got some good ball years of ball to give.
I think there's that, and then you also got to realize like there's also on your body, it's
True.
insane.
Yeah. Massively. You don't
Like
get an
this
off
is the
season at
first,
all.
yeah, and so mentally, like people talk about, oh, it's mentally fatiguing, or oh, it's I need to step away from time for myself. Like, what does that actually mean? That means like, keyboard warriors, when you're sitting at home and you have the full weekend to sit on your keyboards and talk shit in the Discord, and that's what you want to get excited to do. Everyone who's playing has one day, and you know what? The day before, sometimes the whole day, they're sitting there waiting for the game. Sometimes you're playing at 8:30, the whole day you're just there in your chest. You get up to get a glass of water just because you don't know what to do with yourself. You're just sitting there waiting, getting up, getting down, getting up, getting down. And then you have finally I'll just have a bit of time where it's not fight or flight. It's not battle for my next contract. It's not battle to be on the national team. It's not battle to win playoffs. It's not battle. And then you have 5 days. You have 5 days at the end of the season, and you got to pack up your apartment. You got to go to some dinner that you don't want to go to. And then you got to get on a flight for 12 hours, fly home, see your family for 24, 48 hours, and then drive to the center and start training again. That's fatiguing. So, yeah, it's fatiguing. But at the end of the day, getting to play for the national team is also special. So it's like if you can do it in a situation where maybe you have 4 weeks where you train your body back up, you get 4 weeks off, drop back in, who knows? Then that's a much more sustainable system and something that's beneficial for both you, your body, and your career, and for the national team. And I think that's what Dan had talked about, which is super cool. And then I think Dan also, I will give kudos where kudos is due. I think Dan made a great decision. He put Finn as his captain. And I think
Huge.
for me, I was kind of wondering, I was like, I wonder who it's going to be. And then, because Nicky Boy hurt his foot and he wasn't going to be there, and I knew that. And I was like, I wonder who it's going to be. And, the second they made the choice, I was like, oh, of course. It's exactly who it should be.
Yeah.
And I was super pumped for Finn and getting to have the bar and playing so well. And yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see. And yeah, I'm happy for him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Finn was hands down like watching him and his leadership this year. Like seeing it in person is another level. He's doing really good things with those guys. But I will say about your tenure with the national team is that regardless if you come back or not, your tenure with the national team was one of the best we've ever seen. Your ability, I mean, this past Olympics was hands down the hardest Olympics to qualify for. Hands down the hardest Olympics to qualify for. And you did that while consistently being not only our top scorer on the team, but one of the top scorers in every single competition that we competed in. And not only were you scoring the points on the score sheet, but you could tell that you had your teammates back. You could tell that your teammates loved you as well. So I know that there's a lot of people who were very disappointed when you left the national team. I was a little bit, but I also very much understood and like respected that choice and understood like, hey, you need a little bit of time off because yeah, the reality is like, especially like the Euros don't understand what it's like to compete for a North American team in the VNL with the way that you guys travel, the no time that you guys ever have off. And some of the longest careers in volleyball, like the guys who are still playing at the old age, like the Simons and the Sokolovs and these guys, like these are guys who didn't play national team. Right, these are guys who didn't play during the summer and got that off season to rest and repair and to recover, and then to go play their pro season in the winter.
Yeah, like Anderson's a great model as well.
Yeah,
like you got to also just look at like when you're talking about these conversations, you got to also like I talked with Pucci, Simon.
Pucci.
I talked with him a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Long story. Pucci is like sweet little thing, which is fun for him. Pucci. Anyways, he is a phenomenal human being, by the way. Phenomenal human being and phenomenal professional. Like professional.
Yeah.
And like I don't give that credit a lot. There's not a lot of people who I'm like, oh, that guy's more professional than me. Pucci is more. And that makes me up my game, which is sick. But anyways, he was telling me, he's like, you can't take that much time off because your body starts to close. All the joints start to like pull back. And then you start to see guys like Anderson and you're like, they just kind of float in and out, but they still maintain that shape. They don't change,
Yeah.
And then you have Pucci will only take a certain amount of time off because that's when he'll start to drink too many beers on the beach or have too much fun or his body will just start to kind of close up,
Yeah.
And the oldest player that I know about who was a spiker who was good was Chichukin. Chichukin played into his 40s, went to 6 Olympic Games. And the story, when I went to Russia, of course I asked, I had to. What did he do? He never stopped. He just started playing beach. I think it was the maximum I've heard the stories that he would take off was like 5 days. 5 days. And then he would start playing beach like 3 times a week. He would never stop playing for like his entire life until he did stop, which is crazy. Wild. But I think that's actually the model. I think that's what you got to do.
But do you think that there's like even with Tetyukin, like, is he playing beach like on the tour? Like, is he like trying to do the FIVB or is it just more like he's just playing?
No. He's moving. He's moving his body. He's moving his shoulder.
Yeah, for sure. And like
shoulder is the thing that's more scary than anything else.
Yeah, eh?
Because nothing simulates it. Nothing simulates jumping and spiking. The amount of scar tissue, like even now, like my nerves about going to Turkey, about having all this time off. Like now I'm working with Delps and that arm swing stuff to open up my back.
I'm talking to him next week. I'm doing a podcast with him next week. Yeah.
Yeah, about opening up my spine, my back, and doing all the things that I'm not good at. I'm good at lifting weights in the gym, but I'm not good at all the things about how you move. But yeah, like these are the ways that you can prolong your career and just from lessons that I've learned from other people. It's like there are people who are smarter than you as like for a young athlete out there, like there's people who are smarter than you who have figured things out. And like getting the information from them can save you a whole lot of pain and irritation and injuries because once you get one, like nothing ever heals the same.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And you've had a few injuries over your career. You know. Do you still feel them? Like is it like they're just like memories in your body every time you move?
No, like not memories. Like I tore my left ankle in Ohio State in my second year of MAC. My ankle has never been the same. It's still not the same. Like still like quite clearly, like I have tried so many ways to get it to be more mobile. It just is not. I have 2 fractures in my cartilage in my left knee. And that also led to a lot of my, like I figured it out a bit too late. And, at the Olympics, I was not
Well, we love the fact that your mom's still a part of the Discord. I'm still I know she follows, and she was in it for a while. Like I know she was in. Oh, I know they were in the Discord for a while, because once again, like I was having some. She was bringing up some real stuff. I remember one time we were playing Cuba in Ottawa, and she came over and like they beat us in the first set, and then you guys won the rest of it because we don't lose to Cuba. And like she came over and she's just like, fuck Ronnie Cuban Spike, like, because he had been talking so much shit in the chat in the Discord. Like this was like literally mid match as she had one of her when she had the sidelines the sideline seats. So yeah, hey, they are VIPs. Yeah. Well, Maar, I really appreciate you taking the time. It's great to see you. It's great to see that you're happy and healthy. I love to hear that I love to hear that you're getting geared up for another season. Love to see you as a dad too. Are you guys stopping at one? You're gonna look at a few more? I know Eric's typical Trinity guy has already got 3 over there, but yeah. You guys trying to catch up? Awesome. Well, enjoy as much time as you can. Take all those moments as you can. As you said, they grow up fast, and best of luck in the back 9 of your career. Istanbul should be fun this year. Awesome. Anytime. Anytime you want to come on, there's always room for you. All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.